What's up, everybody?
Good evening.
How's everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's having a good weekend, or a good start to their weekend, I guess. Let us know if you can hear us all right.
So we've got our new format again tonight. We're going to drop some knowledge.
Yep.
And we'll show you some products too, but we really just wanted to share a lot of information with you. So if you're watching live, you can ask questions.
Yep.
If you watch this in replay and you still have a question, go ahead and message us through Facebook
or you can leave a comment on this too. It'll still show us. So, what's going on, Tabby? Hey, Bill, Dante. So, everybody ready for the holidays? Happy Hanukkah for those of you that celebrate Hanukkah.
Is that happening now?
Yeah, it's second night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we had Christmas coming up too. So hopefully everybody got their shopping done.
Half of you celebrates that, right?
Yeah. We only have half of them in Orange.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we're gonna kind of go through. Since kind of the holidays, we got a lot of people buying new fish for their tank or having people buy fish for them. We're gonna kind of talk about how to pick out livestock and healthy livestock and what to look for, as well as what to do if your fish actually end up getting sick. We've got some different types of medicines and stuff like that we'll go through. So yeah, like she said, if you guys got any questions while we go through this too, feel free to ask us on the page. We'll answer. You can also send us a message on the Facebook page or email us too. So hopefully everybody's doing all right. So go ahead and get started here.
So why'd you pick this topic, Chase?
I mean, it's something you don't see talked about a lot. I think, we all kind of know what to look for, but it's never really talked about. There's not a whole lot of videos on how to pick out a healthy fish or what to look for in a fish store. So I just thought it'd be a good thing to do, especially now that people are either setting up new tanks, they'll be ready by Christmas, or people that are getting tanks for Christmas that need to learn what to look for in a fish. And we'll also touch on coral a little bit too, because that's also something that's big right now. So yeah, just thought.
And this will help you identify anything that's happening in your aquarium too at home.
So, right. So, and we do have a couple of pictures here. So, hey Eric, how's it going?
The coral picture was really small.
Yeah. Oh, well, we can zoom in on that.
Okay.
So, I guess I'll do pictures in a minute. So, common illnesses for fish, egg's going to be your big one. White spots, I got some pictures on that. You also want to worry about flukes. Those are hard to get a picture of because they're really tiny. But when a fish has flukes, they're going to breathe really hard if they're under the gills. They'll also do things where they'll actually scratch themselves against the rocks. So, you really want to watch your fish when you find one that you like. Watch them and see how they swim around. You want to make sure that they're swimming normal. They're not gasping for air at the top or laying on the bottom or anything like that. They're breathing normal too. Look for a sunken in belly. That's a big thing, especially with cichlids. A lot of times that can mean internal parasites or they're not getting fed enough too. So you want to find a good quality fish store too that sells good quality fish. So look at the actual quality of fish they have in their store. Make sure that everybody looks healthy. You obviously don't want to see dead fish. That's a big thing. That's a big no-no. And you want to make sure the tanks are clean too. And kind of watch and see how everybody looks. Look around the whole store, not just for the one fish that you want. Kind of see what their systems are set up like, whether they're all individual or if they're on the system. And stuff like that too. And talk to the employees. A lot of smaller shops, kind of like us, we know how long our fish have been here. We know when they came in. We know how they're eating. We do quarantine a good amount of our fish for at least a few days with some medicine. Some of them will be here for over a week. And we know what they eat. So that's a very important thing to ask for. Also,
PetSmart doesn't do that.
Right. So one big thing too, a lot of people forget about when we get fish. Some of your less hardy fish, you want to make sure they eat before you take them home. So always ask the store associate to feed the fish. It's a big thing, especially in saltwater.
Like lionfish, sometimes
lionfish.
they come in and they won't take frozen.
Right.
So
you want to make sure they're doing.
You can
that.
ask, yeah, you can ask the associate to feed the fish. Yeah.
So, or like your saltwater, your butterflies, or your angels, or larger angels, they're really finicky eaters. So that's a big thing you want to do. Make sure that they're going to do that. So going back to the common illnesses too, I'll show this picture, give you an idea of what kind of couple of different things look like that you want to watch out for. So on the top, that's going to be your cichlid with the sunken in belly. That's usually a big indication of either he's getting picked on. Internal parasites is a big thing. And there's a couple other things that can go wrong in there too. But something you definitely don't want to do or add to your tank. A lot of times, especially if it's an internal parasite, you buy a fish like that, the fish is going to eat the poop out of that fish and usually get it. So not something you're going to want to do. Down on the bottom left, the red and blue guy, that's ick. That's a really bad case of ick. It's probably one of the most common things you're going to see on a fish. And that can end the fish's life, unfortunately. And it can spread pretty fast. So, and then on the right, it is a drawn image, but it's an angelfish who's been picked on and or could have some fin rot issues. These are freshwater angels. So again, something you don't want to really see or probably add to your tank, because these can also add parasites to your tank that you've already got. So
can I say something real quick about ick? Because a lot of people wonder how their fish got it. They think another fish brought it into the tank, but it can be caused by stress. It can be caused by fluctuation in temperature. Isn't it just inherent in all tanks?
It usually is. There's a debate on that right now. Some people have a tank empty without any fish and quarantine the fish, and we'll talk about quarantine here in a little bit too. And then, but usually it's there. And like she said, even shipping fish can be a lot of stress on fish. There's a temperature change in shipping, even from coming from the store to your house. And your tank could be a different temperature than ours. So that's why you really want to make sure that the fish is healthy when you get it. So make sure it's stronger and more likely to survive.
And that's why good acclimation is also key. You want to make sure the temperature is the same. And if you want to do a slow acclimation, we could get into that. But
we might do a video, just a YouTube video.
On different ways to acclimate would be cool. Yeah.
Because there's a few different ways, whether you got fish or coral or inverts. There's a few different ways to do it. So these are some of the things you want to avoid if you see in the store, and talk to them. We've all had problems with this, no matter what. No store is perfect. I can't say that, but we try our best to keep everybody healthy. We see a sick tank, we take care of the fish, make sure and treat them, and do all that other kind of stuff.
But yeah, that sunken belly thing, because I had all the time people be like, "I want that fish." And I'm like, "No, you don't."
Yeah.
Get the chubby one.
Well, that's another thing too. Especially with saltwater, which is what I'm into. I always ask them to feed the fish, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's a clownfish or a damsel to, a $2,000 tang that just came in. You want to see it eat. That's the first sign of a healthy fish. And then you want to see how long they've had it and if they quarantine. Most stores don't quarantine fish at all. They get them in and they're selling that same day. So we'll actually tell you when they came in. So. And a lot of them will hold, especially freshwater, we'll hold them for a few days, up to a week, before we'll even let you guys buy them. So that's something cool that we do here. But going just on the common parasites and how to treat. So ick being probably the number one thing that we see in fish, like she said, with stress, because fish get stressed out all the time, especially from moving from tank to tank. Or from store to your house and all that other stuff. So a really good product that we use here, and a lot of people use at home, and a lot of other stores here. This is actually what we use to quarantine our guys too, is IckX. This is an amazing product for just a general curing of most parasites with fish. We sell it here too.
And if anybody's interested in getting any of these medications, we'll give you guys 10% off of any of these. And it's actually good to have certain medications like on hand, ready to go.
Yeah, I like to have a couple of these on hand just in case something breaks out. Even when you pick out a healthy fish, there's always a chance. Heaters go out. You do too big of a water change, stuff like that can cause fish to get sick. But X does really good. We use it when we get our freshwater fish in. That is what we use in our quarantine systems too. It does really good. It's just kind of a broad-based anti-parasitic. And I've actually done it with tanks with Amano shrimp and bamboo shrimp, and they don't seem to be affected by it. Same thing with fish without scales, so some of your loaches and catfish. To them not to have any problems with it. So really, really good one to have on hand just in case. And then also something I recommend when you get new fish, always stress guard. Should have probably started out with this. This is really good when you do add new fish and or do a water change. This acts like an antiseptic, so it'll help heal any wounds the fish may have, as well as help reduce the stress of the fish. So something to have on hand, especially when you add new fish. It doesn't affect your filter. It doesn't hurt any inverts or your plants or anything like that. You can use it on a saltwater tank. For those of you that have salt tanks that have a skimmer, turn your skimmer off. It will foam up a little bit too much, so leave it off for a couple of days. But yeah, it's really good just to kind of help them get into the tank and do well. Going back to ick, I guess, again, main thing, another way to treat it, you can use ICX with it. You also want to raise your temperature to about 80, 82. Especially on your freshwater fish, and adding a little bit of aquarium salt will help too. And just make sure and feed them, and they have clean water. So make sure
raising the temperature helps speed up the life cycle of the parasite, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's why you want to raise the temperature.
Yeah, and that'll just help everything kind of go through faster. And the faster the fish heals, the healthier everybody is in the tank too. For those of you, I was talking about flukes. Like I said, it's not something you always see on the fish, but you can definitely tell by them. They'll kind of flare their fins up, or they're actually itch themselves, where they'll go and scratch themselves on rocks. For that, I recommend the Prezi Pro. Again, had pretty good luck using this, especially on some tanks that have some less hardy fish. And you can also use this as a dip. So if it's something you just want to take the fish out, put them in a container with this in it for a little bit, you can. And this will usually get rid of the flukes on the fish. And flukes can actually, the worst ones are the ones that are on the gills, because it'll help them, it'll hinder them from breathing. So we really want to make sure that we get that done. But like I said, when you're watching in a tank, in a store, if you're watching that fish and he's actually sitting there and you see him go up to a deco and scratch himself, usually something's itching him. Most of the time, a lot of times it's flukes. Sometimes it could be some other parasite starting. But flukes will definitely do it, especially if they keep doing it. So definitely watch out for that. And then we also, for those of you who have reef tanks or like shrimp bowling tanks and stuff like that, that are a little worried about using the ICX, Fritz or Mardell actually has some all-natural products. They have the Parashield and the Bacter Shield, depending on what you want to do. Parashield's obviously for parasites, so ick, velvet, and all that kind of stuff. Bacter Shield's for bacterial infections. Don't see these as much as ick. So this is usually, you'll notice this, it'll be like a fuzzy growth on the fish. From a lot of times they'll get it from like a sore or something like that. So those are all natural, can be used in a coral tank with
I've been having a hard time getting
those products.
I think they're back in stock, and I'm getting them okay.
They were last time.
Okay, so, good. Yeah.
But yeah, really cool product. Like I said, reef safe. It can pretty much be fine with everything. So
what if somebody has a tank with delicate invertebrates, and then they have like one sick fish?
On tanks like that, I might recommend a quarantine tank, which is usually, most people use like a 10 or 20 gallon tank with a sponge filter. They don't have to be set up all the time, but it's a separate tank that you can use to either when you get new fish, quarantine them with medicine for anywhere between 1 to 4 weeks. Make sure they eat healthy. They don't show up with any signs of any illnesses or anything like that. No internal parasites. And it also is good to have in case somebody in your tank gets sick and it's just one fish. You can take them out, put them in that separate tank, and treat just that fish. And that way, if you've got a lot of delicate things,
so that's pretty cheap. I mean, you would still need a heater and like a hang on the back filter, but
you do the sponge filters.
Oh, the sponge filter, yes. So you'd still need a heater. That would be the most expensive thing there.
Yeah,
And you don't need any decorations. In fact, it's better to have a glass bottom.
Well, and actually what I like to put in there is PVC couplers. So the fish actually can still hide and feel safe in that environment. And they're cheap and they're great in water. And then, most people only use the quarantine tank when needed. It's only, that's not set up all the time. So, but yeah, and I recommend quarantine tanks no matter what, just to be safe, especially if you've got a lot of fish in a big tank. So, and then one more thing. So we were talking about sunken in stuff or sunken in bellies. Also, Fritz also has Expel P. So this is really good for your internal parasites. So your worms and stuff like that. This is really good for taking care of that. It does take 2 treatments at least to do. This is something I recommend in a bare bottom tank, like a quarantine tank, because you can see if they have worms, you can see them. The worms will actually come out, and you want to suck them out when you do a water change. So kind of hard to see when you do that. So I also gonna touch on coral a little bit too. So the big thing with coral, you want to look at it too. There are some pretty good signs of sick coral. I have to zoom in on this picture. So this is a type of hammer coral, and you can see on the right side, you see the white skeleton. That's actually going to be fresh die-off. White is usually brand new die-off. If it starts to be like a brown looking like the rocks around it, it's old die-off, and that's usually fine. Wall hammers like this don't always do well if one side starts dying. This is something that you don't want to look, or you probably wouldn't want to buy. So any kind of where you see a lot of white skeleton on a coral, usually not a good sign of the coral. Obviously, you want to make sure it's open and happy. Water's clear. Everything looks good. Coral tend to not stress out as much as fish. You don't have to worry about them getting parasites like ick and stuff like that. But since a big coral are so wild collected, they can come in with parasites. Or different types of things that will eat the coral skeleton. So we do have dips for that. We dip here before we even put them in our tanks also.
Now, could you remove the skeleton?
You could.
Snap it off?
You could. It depends on some of the corals. You need, like this one, you need a saw to cut it off. If it were like a branching one that had a bunch of different heads, you could just cut off the dead head. So, and a big thing with this, like something like this, if I start seeing one of my hammers do it, we have a product called Reef Dip, which is like an antiseptic for these things, and I would do a daily to every other day dip on these guys and let them sit in there for about 15 minutes. And it's just an antiseptic to help repair any damaged tissue and make sure nothing gets inside that can kill the coral.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah. So, and speaking of Reef Dip, this is it too. This is another dip I actually use when we get in coral. This is the first dip they go in. And then they go into a bath for any type of weird bugs or anything that they can come with. And then they do another dip in Reef Dip just to kind of make sure everybody's healthy and good to go. But yeah, hopefully this will help you guys out when picking out fish and coral. We do have a couple of announcements too. So next week we're gonna do a flash fish sale. So the livestock's gonna be buy 4 get 1 or buy 3 get 1 free. And that's for any livestock in the fish room. And then it's also 10% off on dry goods, except for tanks.
Right.
So
yeah, if you want to get your tank looking good for Christmas, next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can take advantage of those savings. If you have a fish person in your life that you want to give a gift to, aquariums can be very specific. So you may just want to give them a gift card, which we have fancy gift cards here. They're plastic and everything.
It's like a little credit card.
Yeah. So we have those available too.
So a lot easier to give a fish person a gift card instead of picking the fish out for them, especially if you're not a fish person. So it'll definitely help so they can pick out the fish and you don't have to worry about getting them something that either A, won't work with them, and what they got, or B, something sick too. And another thing too that I forgot to mention too, when you're looking for fish, if you don't know, ask questions. Hopefully you can find a store that gives you a good answer, good advice. Bring pictures of what you have. If you don't know what you've got in your tank, bring in a picture of the fish or a video.
That is a great tip.
Because I can't tell you how many times people are like, I don't know what I've got. It's orange and round. And I'm like, that's...
Or they don't even know how big their tank is.
There's 50 other fish that look like that. So make sure to bring in a picture of that fish or your tank. Let us see what's in it. And also another important thing I think people forget about is water testing. We love to test water here, especially if we don't know your tank very well. Bring it in. We can check your tank, make sure it's good to go. And then, point in the right direction of actually getting that healthy fish that'll match what you've got in there, or coral or whatever you want to do. But yeah, bringing pictures will help a lot. A lot of us know what certain fish are, and we can help you guide in the right direction. And then, like I said, if you got any questions on any of the meds that we talked about tonight, feel free to message us on the Facebook page. We'll go through and talk to you about it, let you know how to dose, what to do, and all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a good holiday. Don't forget, next week we got the sale going on. We got the gift cards.
Do we have one more show before the new year?
I have to look.
I know. What?
It'll be Christmas.
Right. So we might skip that one, you guys. But
we skipped the one after Thanksgiving.
But we'll see. Yeah. But we'll see.
So
put it on another day. We'll have to see.
And then also, we do have a YouTube page now going on. You will see more content from us on that, especially about doing basic things, water changes, new fish stuff, cool things we do, new setups, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be putting all that kind of stuff on our YouTube page also.
Plus, these knowledge drops we're doing for the Fish Corner now are going to YouTube as well. So sometimes it's easier to navigate and find those videos there.
Yeah. So like and subscribe on our YouTube page for that. We are also, we did some interviews earlier in the year with some fish people. Next year, we are working on doing some more. We are going to get Robert from Flip finally, probably in January, to do an interview with us. So that'll be really exciting too.
Ooh, we should do a shrimp special.
Yeah, we'll probably do one. I'm sure we'll get Dustin to do another one with us. See who else wants to do kind of an online chat with us and have some fun. And, keep on going with this hobby. So.
All right, y'all be safe out there.
Stay safe.
Thank you, and have a good holiday.
And we'll see you, I guess, next year.
Yeah.
So, bye.
Thanks. Bye.